Well, today we talk about hot topics and research articles. And our topic today is what's new Hot Topics 108. And this time we're just going to focus, and I'm going to bring my article up. We'll take the time to bring our article up, but we're focusing on the benefits of intermittent fasting. And this is written by Everyday Health, 12 possible health benefits of intermittent fasting. And I wanted to bring it back to our attention because, yes, right now there a lot of research that are going on because of, there just wasn't a lot out there. And so now that's what they're doing. And so let's look at some of the benefits. And it says intermittent fasting, or IF is what they say, is one of the most talked about diets right now. It's a way of eating that designates periods of time for eating and for fasting. And no signs suggest interest is waning. We got IF and or if I like to say if, but it's if I want to do that. But anyway, so it's IF in its different forms, and it's holding a steady pace. And this was said by Kimberly Rose Francis. She's a registered dietitian and a certified nutritionist based in Sebring, Florida. Now, there are a few approaches, but the two most popular are the 16-8, which called for squeezing all the day's meals into an 8-hour window and fasting for the remainder 16 hours. And with that, I'll explain a little bit more. Usually, you shut your time eating at the end of the day to at least 7 or 8 o'clock p.m., and then you shut it off, don't eat, and then included in that 16 hours is the time that you're sleeping and all of that. And then you have a later breakfast. So maybe have breakfast if you shut it off at 8, maybe have breakfast more like 10 or like a brunch 10 or 11. And then from that time you can, yes, space your meals out until you shut it down at 8. So that's what they mean by that. And then there's the 5 to 2. And that's when 5 days of the week you're eating normally, and then 2 are spent fasting. But the fasting is that you eat only one meal, and your meal has to be no more than 500 to 600 calories per day. Now, why would someone opt for this way of eating versus a standard diet, such as going low carb or low fat? Some people say fasting has loads of health benefits. The research so far proves the benefits of IF to the extent that it is worthwhile as a method to lose weight, to manage your blood sugar, and slow down the aging process. And this was said by Sarah Gottfried, who's an MD at Berkeley, California. She's the author of the book Women, Food, and Hormones, The Hormone Cure, The Hormone Reset Diet, and Brain Body Diet. But not everyone's on board. From my standpoint and the standpoint of a lot of other people, it does tend to fall into the next fad diet category. And that's was said by Elizabeth Loden, who's a MD, a Warrensville, Illinois based physician who is board certified in obesity medicine, endocrinology, diabetes, and metabolism, and internal medicine. A lot of the data is conflicted, she says, and many studies done on animals have not yet been repeated in people. For every study that shows there's no change, there are some studies that show maybe there is improvement, Dr. Loden says. And that happens all the time though, right? So
Right.
yeah, so rather than take popular claims about IF at face value, we decided to dive into them and explore whether 12 touted benefits of the approach are legit or the science doesn't yet stack up. And so the first one I will start, and then Dr. D will join me with the other ones, and we'll go through these 12 benefits. So the first benefits is weight loss. Now, most people start IF, that's intermittent fasting, to lose weight. and that claim seems to hold up, at least in the short term. According to an article published in February 2020 in the Canadian Family Physician, IF may contribute to weight loss for overweight or obese individuals. The researchers looked at data from 27 studies and found that IF helped participants lose up to 13% of their weight. That's probably welcome news if you're hoping to fast for weight loss. But the fact that those studies were short term means it's unclear if IF is sustainable and can help you keep off extra pounds in the long run. What's more, not all studies have found that IF resulted in weight loss. A study published in September 2020 in JAMA, internal medicine, involving 116 overweight or obese people who ate between the hours of 12 and 8 p.m. for 12 weeks, found that they did not have significantly more weight loss than the control group. The other catch, the amount of weight loss doesn't seem to be any more than what you expect from another calorie restricted diet. A review published in October 2019 in Nutrients found that similar amounts of weight and fat loss were achieved through IF, intermittent fasting, and continuous energy restriction, such as a low calorie diet. And depending on how many calories you're eating each day, you could even end up gaining weight. That's what I always say. After all, the diet doesn't restrict high calorie foods to
Mm-hmm.
total calories, it only restricts
Mm-hmm.
when you can eat. And I
Mm-hmm.
always, when I teach this, I always say, yeah, you could do intermittent fasting, but you better make sure that when you do eat, that it is
Mm-hmm.
a well-balanced diet
Mm-hmm.
and the correct diet. So you need to be doing either Mediterranean diet or DASH diet or something, instead of eating all that
As
stuff.
we say, Vicky, you can't have a plate high and deep.
That's it. You cannot, oh yeah, well, I can eat only to 12 noon to 8. Let me pile it high and deep. Can't do that.
That won't work.
That won't work, right? So it says when the diet is done properly, IF can be an effective or normal caloric restriction. Loden says some people, especially busy people who don't have time to devote to meal planning, might even find a time restricted diet easier to follow than something like the keto or the paleo diet. And this is what she says.
Number two, reduce blood pressure. IF may help lower high blood pressure in the short term. A pilot study published in June 2018 in Nutrition and Healthy Aging found that 16 to 8 significantly decreased systolic blood pressure in the 23 study participants. As the Mayo Clinic notes, systolic blood pressure is the top number in your blood pressure reading and indicates the force of the heart against your artery walls each time it beats. The link between lower systolic blood pressure and IF appears in both animal and human studies, according to a review published March of 2019 in Nutrients. And a study published in 2020, September, in the European Journal of Nutrition found that IF led to even greater reduction in systolic blood pressure than other diets that didn't involve defined eating times. Having a healthy blood pressure is important. Unhealthy levels can hurt your heart, brain, kidneys, and eyes, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC. But so far, the research shows that these blood pressure benefits last only while someone is doing IF. Once the diet ended and people returned to eating, of course, as
Mhm.
was normal for them, researchers found that blood pressure readings will, of course, return to their initial levels.
Exactly. Well, the third benefit is reduce inflammation. Animal studies suggest that both IF and general calorie restriction can reduce inflammation levels, though clinical trials are few and far between. The authors of research published in Nutrition Research wanted to know if that link existed among humans too. So they analyzed a group of 50 participants who were fasting for Ramadan, the Muslim holiday, which involves fasting from sunrise to sunset and eating overnight. The study showed that during the fasting period, pro inflammatory markers were lower than usual, as was blood pressure, body weight, and body fat.